Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Oliver again with another tutorial on SDF. We will now have a look into some premium features of SDF Pro, which are available by in-app purchase. Also, we will do some exercises, smaller ones, which are also applicable for all other SDF versions. And I'll show you also some tricks. So let me just give this one a color. Color selection. Okay, so wonderful. Yeah, as usual, we have this ball as a start object. This object. There's some things to understand. For example, how to make a round form. That's always a very interesting question, and some people have already figured it out. You select just the surroundings with a strip command, so that it goes all around the object, and then we go to shape and use the extrude command, and we're getting this. Now I take these parts here and I say subdivide, and go out here and go to the local command and use the command bridge. So, and that is doing this effect. So actually this is looking like a wheel. Okay, the resolution of the editor, you see there are not many edges. That's actually owed to the performance of the mobile devices. If you export this will be pretty round, yeah, and so don't get upset if you see that it is a little bit edgy here. That's actually only in the editor. Okay, good. And yeah, and you have this. You can even expand here. You make additional extrudes, for example, shape extrude, and you make this thing even more complex. Yeah, and then we have maybe some fun with it. So we just take these two edges, subdivide them, and you see that automatically it adapts and it gets more cornered. So now I select this and this as well, and I use extrude. We're getting this kind of a form, yeah, which we can actually transform into a kind of rotor. Like increase, and we use transform, scale, and we use all. And we scale this a little bit apart. Yeah, you see how easy that is. And just additional training. Let's just select the edges here. Like this, increase. So then we'll use the rotate command, and on the z-axis in this case, and we rotate that. Actually, usually, as far as I know, they are opposite to each other, so I have to rotate that in the other direction, like this. And we do the same here, that is on the green, the y-axis, like this. Select this edge, increase, and do the same here in the opposite direction. So, funny rotor. Yeah, and can you actually use the scale command to bring it a little bit in more shape. So that will be the z-axis. So I want to have it a little bit more rounded. And selecting these two edges. And that will be, let's see, we scale that on green on Y. So giving it more round form. So That's quite funny. Yeah. And like this is actually how it works. So just to give you an idea for like rotors or how you can rotate things. And the fun thing is here, you see, because of we are not working with a so complex mesh, like in sculptures where you paint mesh, you have a lot of vertex and you have actually to sculpt it out, carving it out. It's actually not so nice for precision work if you want to have a very ergonomic round form. It takes a little bit more work in sculptures. Sculptures are much better for organic forms. Those are also possible with SDF, but they take a different approach. In other tutorials I will show you how that works, but for the moment, just to get an idea, you see, because it's not so complex, I select only this face here, and the rotate command here works on the edges, and actually it's deforming the whole object. So you have actually to look on where it actually stands and how it rotates. You see, you can you can transform. With only one edge, you can have a huge impact to an object, and that's the very concept of SDF, where you have really the possibility to keep it in shape without hustling around with complex geometry. Okay, so this was one of the practices. We make a new object. We work on some other impacts. For example, the copy and paste function. So you can actually select this object here, and now I use here on the right side, copy and paste. I use transform move. And now we can see I have a second object. Yeah? And now there are some interesting functions like how to combine it again. So we use the command local, and we use the bridge command, and then you have connected both, for example. Yeah? And what I can do is I can just use copy and paste again, copy, paste, transform and move it, and let's move it a little bit to the side and move it a bit further up, and then I use copy and paste and I move it again further up like this. So, and now I'm going back to the local command. I select one face, I select another one, and I use the merge command. I use this one, and I merge it. This really doesn't work, so I have to align the faces a little bit. So I select one of these faces, use transform rotate, on Z-axis in this case, align it a little bit, and also this one. And actually, now it merges. And you can actually use these ones and merge them as well. So you see that's actually also possible in how to create another object. Yeah, and then you can use this here, for example, let's make a gun out of it, very simple. So you see, that's a bit of the workflow you will have, and you can have like 1 and 2 of these things here again, and you just transform move them on the y-axis, and you get something like this. And this here you grab and you shape, subdivide it, subdivide, transform, scale it on all edges. So this is actually the connector, and then we give it here like a little bit more detail. So again, shape, subdivide, and we use the command bump. So we have here a soft support for our gun, and what we actually want here is another grip. So make subdivide here. Oh, that's not good. I want to have more complexity, so I select that with a strip command all around, go to shape and say split. So now I have one instance more, and then I can extrude that. Yeah, that's actually getting right. See, we get it formed, transform move, horizontal move. Yeah, it looks actually interesting. Quite sci-fi-ish. Needs a bit more complexity. I want to have another extrude. Yeah, why not? So everything you put on can be transformed, rotated, and you bring it in shape. Like use the rotate command, and this here is actually blue. It helps you to find the orientation back. So this is Z. So doing it like this, increase the selection so all the other parts come together. You use the scale command, this time only on this axis, which is X, color red. I put it all a bit like this, and I move it up on X again. So yeah. So now I want to give it more complexity, so I go here and tell them to shape split, so that I have an instance here which I can grab. For example, this here should be moved. Transform move, and that goes on Y and green, like this. And you see all this ergonomic stuff gets step by step carved out of this bizarre form I've designed. So I select this here, and I want to have another instance, and I use the shape subdivide command, and look what happens. Yeah, takes step by step, it takes an interesting form of our bizarre, let's call it a laser gun, with a short rifle support here, which you actually want to extend. That's not a problem. You just transform, move it away from the main item, like this, you see. Gets more realistic here. And also should move a bit up. Let's see what happens. Sorry. Again, please. Just deselect it. Perfect. Gets a bit up. And this here looks a little bit too straight for my feeling. So I just select this here. I use transform move command and move that a bit in. You see, like this. And then I scale it. Scale this on the red axis X. more round. And to give that a more realistic approach, we select this edges here and this edge here. See that? Okay. And we then scale that together on the blue axis, which is Z. And look what's happening here. Yeah, it's quite amazing. So that's how you step by step work out your weapon. So let's do some harder work here. So we extrude here again, and I actually wanted to give it a stronger, more aggressive style. So I go and scale this out like that. And now we go and use all these tube tricks, shape, subdivide, and then extrude, and subdivide, extrude. So step by step we'll give it a little bit of you see what you can do. You can just transform and scale it all the time with the scale all command, and follows actually, it's always smooth, always round, follows the barrel direction. And then we use subdivide command and extrude it and subdivide it. So it's getting really powerful. So from here on we want to have a ring. So we subdivide this here and extrude it. So, and this one here is actually to connect the weapon a bit. So I go and transform scale it a bit down because it's too big. Like this. Okay. So that's actually a hold. And I will subdivide this edge here and start to do an extrude command from there. And another extrude command. So, and that looks okay. Yeah, that's fine. That can be scaled up. That's no problem. Okay. And now we want to have them meet. So this must be a little bit split it up with a split command. Oh, sorry. I need to deselect. Now I have to do that again. Yeah. And this here. Okay, so we have both selected. They get bridged together with a local command, and I make a bridge. Oh no, they're too far apart. I have to be careful here. So again, and bridge it. So more or less, let's put together. Now I just select this part here and extend it. So make a transform move, sorry. I move that on red, on X, down, up and down, and you see, give a little bit more space. Yeah, that looks okay. Great. So, we have somehow started designing our sci-fi weapons. And this here needs a little bit more complexity and should be stiff, so I make a shape subdivide and it looks more technically. That's good. That's how we wanted it. Yeah, now we can have some additional fun here. So for example, these two corners are more or less inviting for transform scale command to put them a little bit closer together and give it a interesting edge like this, you see. And we might build an additional grip here. So yeah, let's extrude this one. Let me see if that works. Yeah, that should work. That should work. So we get this, and we extrude that as well. And now we transform, move this here a bit towards the inside. So, and we are shape extruding this part, and we're also transforming that with the move command horizontally, using also rotate command here, because it should be, so we use blue Z, we can like this give it a form. So this is a kind of a front holding support for the other hand, and this here should be more bumped, so we give it a bump. So yes, so here in this area we see that doesn't really look technically, so I make a strip command and I will subdivide that. So yeah, wonderful. And automatically you see that this here gets a bit separated. Alright, that is an interesting approach. So we have this same ring, we use this ring as well for putting some additional gear here. So we make another subdivide and we extrude this here. That's great. Why are we doing this? We do that because we want to do some scope on top. So subdivide it, and we make a sci-fi scope here. Shape, extrude. Also here, shape, extrude to the front. Now we're extruding it again, extrude again. It's quite interesting. So now we go to select this whole stuff here. And we do an increase command. This here we don't need, because what I actually want is to move it a little bit, that this gets a bit angled. So just transform, move it horizontally on green. So looks fun. Also this here needs to be more technical, so I increase complexity by shape subdivide, yeah, and subdivide it, and then I scale it again, transform, scale it horizontally. Well, in this case it's that. So, and that gives it a little bit of another look and feature. Yeah, good. This scope is a little bit too small to look through. So shape, we just scale it a bit up. Transform, scale all. That's really interesting. And we use shape extrude. And that's actually quite amazing. So, and we do the same here. We extrude it and extrude it again. And we scale that up, transform, scale all. Yes, so that's our scope. And it's pretty interesting. So we go now to shape and subdivide it. That's quite funny. And usually on weapons, this part here should be a little bit longer than the upper part. So I transform move that as well, a bit down. So you see, and a bit horizontally. This is here the y-axis. Yeah. So that's how that looks like. So what I'm trying to do, which is actually for more advanced designers, just to work with only one object. Yeah, actually creating the gun and so could have been done from the very beginning without creating separate balls and then connecting them as we did it at the beginning. I just used this form because I got inspiration to do this laser gun, but more or less what we're doing, we're really carving an object out of one single object here. Yeah. Normally, if you want to have more complexity and precision, you can actually use different instances and then assemble it. That's actually, I call it a bit unsporty in SDF because normally you can do it all in once, which then later makes it easier to 3D print it. So this here should be a bit scaled in. So we use this, yeah, and also here we have done it. That's pretty good. So here we do a shape subdivide, and here we do the same. That's where we are going to look in. And actually it's a modern sci-fi weapon. We should actually give it some strange form. So we select this outer ring, and from the top I would like to rotate it. So transform, rotate. Let's see how that looks. And that is the red x-axis, like that, for the one eye. Okay. The question is it now a right or left-handed weapon? Let's just take here a strip, make a shape split, and another one here, shape subdivide, and subdivide, and transform scale. We scale that together, so that's green, that makes it a little more dense. And we shape subdivide it, transform scale all, and so now it looks like you can adjust it, like rotating it to the other side if you need that. Yeah. And to support that, we can put another button, whatever you want. So this is our sci-fi scope. That's why we made it flat, not totally round like it is on normal guns. And we can even expand it in the front that it looks even more bulky. Maybe it's some kind of a imaging device. So let's try and experiment with that. That's actually the big advantage on SDF because you can really transform things with very, very low impact. You do not need to paint mesh. You have really the possibility to use smaller instances and just manipulate them, and you see already it has a huge impact to the whole model. That's actually what normal designers, this is actually for ergonomic design, it's not actually for weapon design. It can be used for weapon design, of course. I'm mostly using SDF in this case for sci-fi designs, all kinds, spaceships, weapons, some other requisites. Therefore, it's pretty good. And yeah, so let's do some finishing here in front. Shape, subdivide, and then shape. Let's see if that works. Extrude. Yeah, it works actually. So, and increase that and transform scale all. Scale a bit out. That's actually all right. And then we actually shape, subdivide, intrude this here. Subdivide again, so we have a deeper barrel. You can really look in. Fantastic. Yeah, so that's actually how we build this model around. It's quite funny. A bit tricky it is actually to and therefore I use some more instance, so I create more mesh with Subdivide here, is actually to finalize here this part with the trigger. Let's do one more or less. Let's do it in a way that it looks like a drilling machine kind of thing. Yeah, easy. So just extrude this here. Yeah, but it needs to have another instance, because otherwise we cannot carve that it looks like it comes out of something. So we make subdivision here again. So I have the outer border here, which I can strip, and by another subdivide I get an instance and can then move it a bit into the background, so like this. Yeah, okay. So then it looks like there's something coming out, and then I can grab this part, shape and extrude it, and I use these two friends here, and actually I take only this one here, and I move him a bit back, so with the green axis Y, and then we have a real cool fat trigger here. That's pretty interesting. That one needs to be rotated to fit the upper part. Take the blue edge and then I move it up. It's quite a workaround, but okay. Good. Yeah, and now I say we want to have that more edgy again, as we already demonstrated this. Just shape and subdivide it, and you see what happens. Gets really cool. Now we want to have this whole thing a bit smaller. Just select it, then we transform scale it on blue on the Z-axis in this case. So here we have our trigger. Yeah, actually this kind of weapons should have an energy pack. We see how we designed this. Yeah, that's not so important. It's even more exotic like this, because there's a small barrel. And somehow you can now adjust the proportions, pull the back a little bit more, make it a longer barrel. Barrel extensions, just select the inner part of the barrel here. Use the increase command till you got to a certain ring. This one is okay, but then you move that a bit ahead. So, like this. And this one you just shape, subdivide, and then transform scale it a bit again to keep the abstract form like this. So, and if you want, you can like put some smaller details, like some knobs. So let's take this part here, go to shape, split. Oh, this is a good. Look at it, it's a more square looking thing, that it gets really round proportions. Go to the subdivide command and then intrude, subdivide, extrude, subdivide, and then we have a knob here. So something you press on both sides and then you can take this whole grip off. Yeah? Maybe look what we can do here. What happens if we select this? Oh, that's interesting. Let's do a split there. and another one. Okay, that is actually quite good. So we take here a subdivide, another subdivide, and then transform scale all, and make this a detachable part. Fantastic. So it's quite interesting. And this here is actually a little bit too bulky. Oh, it's not really. Yeah. Yeah, now we see how the details are coming out. More or less interesting. This part needs some technical revision. I see that coming. Let's see where the strip command goes through. It goes through there. Okay, that's fair enough for a split. Shape, split it here. Exactly, makes it more edgy. That's what I wanted. And now we go over here and make this part here a subdivide. So exactly, that's what we wanted. Splits that a bit. That's fantastic. Great. And also here, make it subdivide, subdivide, and we scale that as well. And here we give him a shape subdivide, bump it. That's also interesting, and here we should actually look this part actually should be a little bit further together for the sub to go around easier, more ergonomic. So we go and transform, scale that on the blue axis. So now we give it more details on the barrel again, some subdivides, shape, not bevel, that was wrong, take that away, make a subdivision here. That's quite good. Yeah. So, I think for a first tutorial I'll make a laser weapon, or an alien sci-fi kind of thing. It should, there's a lot of adjustment that can be done, and but you have seen now the basics, how to move it apart, adjust the proportions of each part, how you consider sections of an object, that you really have space and elements in between where you can pull it apart, pull it off together, and all those things, and how you connect things, and how you get some effects in, like carvings and buttons. So it's a pretty nice illustration, and I hope you enjoyed this longer session. Thank you very much, and wish you a lot of fun with SDF. All right, goodbye.